I was reading a recent interview with the CEO of Obsidian, Fergus Urquhart, and he was talking about the company's 2025 releases. They had three big ones: Avowed, Outer Worlds 2, and Grounded 2 went to early access. It was a big year for them, but it seemed like it was pretty chaotic, and obviously the reception to Outer Worlds 2 and Avowed wasn't as good as they wanted. I haven't beaten either Avowed or Outer Worlds 2, but I played through most of them. And I think they're both alright. They didn't blow me away, but also, importantly, they didn't completely disappoint me and obliterate my hopes into smithereens. I've had a decent amount of fun with them, enough to keep picking them up every now and then, and I see myself finishing both games by the end of the year. This footage is obviously from very early in Avowed, but I've just reached the final act of the game after taking a pretty good break, and I decided that I'd be in for a sequel. It's got enough going on that I enjoy that I would be happy with them taking another crack at the setting and gameplay and fleshing more things out with a second try. What it comes down to for me is that I think single player first person RPGs are just my all time favorite experiences. Those would, of course, be primarily your Elder Scrolls games, Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, and then Fallout 3 in New Vegas, and Fallout 4 when I've taken enough Benadryl. Cyberpunk 2077 is another fantastic first person RPG. Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines, the first one, is also great. And I've also enjoyed a lot of Tainted Grail, Fall of Avalon as well. I enjoy these types of games enough that even a double A or 7 out of 10 experience in this field is enough for me to be happy with what I've been given. The first person RPG, despite some of its biggest successes being massive sales hits, is still a pretty scarce type of game these days. Not a lot of studios are taking on this type of game. I think that's why when a studio does take a shot at it, they still get a lot of disappointed players. People want another Skyrim, another New Vegas. I do too. I don't blame people for wishing another game like those would come out before we have grandkids. But I've really been trying to take the time to grade Outer Worlds 2 and Avowed as their own experiences, removing myself as much as I can from the biases and urge to weigh them against the genre's giants. For reference, I actually was a backer of the original Pillars of Eternity Kickstarter. I played it when it came out, and I liked it a lot. It's a good CRPG, but I'm not a die-hard fan of the series. I haven't even bought or played Pillars of Eternity 2 yet, but the setting is interesting enough for me that I wanted to keep on going. This is where I found Avowed the most interesting, as it contributes a bit to the interesting lore and world setting of the Pillars universe. The combat of Avowed it's been fun enough. This actually might be where I'm getting got, so to speak. I love using the flintlock pistols and rifles in this game. They feel right, they feel great. I love tearing down some monsters and bad guys with 2 flintlock pistols. That's been fun enough to keep me going. That's not something you can get in a lot of games these days. Avowed is not a miles deep RPG, but the upgrades and levels come at a decent enough pace that I'm getting enough numbers go up dopamine to not be bored. The companions are interesting, mostly. I think I like Kai the best, and it seems clear that they were banking on Kai being their strongest companion character since he's the first one that you get and he was on quite a bit of the promotional stuff. A big criticism of Avowed, the biggest one I've regularly seen, has been how static and dry the world feels because NPCs just stay put. They don't have any schedules, there's no deep intertwined faction doings here or inner character relations. Most NPCs only pop up for the one quest they're in. You can stand in the middle of any of the towns for a while and no one is really walking around, so it makes the game feel stagnant and stale. I think this is a completely fair criticism. It would certainly make the game better and feel more alive. But I also wonder if it's one of those unfair "this isn't Skyrim" criticisms. Now, admittedly, a lot of my favorite RPGs are really static in this way. I spend a lot of time in games like Diablo or Knights of the Old Republic, where the NPC staying put is just what I'm used to, and it's actually a little more convenient for my brain that they just stay where they are rather than moving around so that I don't have to go find them. So I guess on this take, I might be a little biased because I think I'm fine with the world being a little more static like that. I could very well be wrong and outdated and wearing rose colored glasses there. None of Avowed's shortcomings were bad enough for me to say that it shouldn't get a sequel and that Obsidian should just cut their losses. If I've had an alright experience here, and with a lot of time and going back to square one, Obsidian could make a second try at Avowed more interesting, fleshed out, lively, I think I'm here for it. I'm not jumping up and down for it, but I'll be happy if a sequel gets announced eventually. I'll probably set my expectations at a 7 out of 10. And if it ends up being like an 8 or an 8.5 out of 10, well, then hey, I got more than I bargained for. I'm not putting all of my eggs into one basket, but I'll put in a few. Now, I don't actually have any friends who've played Avowed or Outer Worlds 2. I'm aware of some of the criticism and reception, but I haven't really interacted with anyone who really did not like these games or was really disappointed. If either of these games really just took the wind out of your sails, you didn't like them, you think they stunk, I really think you should light up the comments with it. I'd like to see what the haters are saying. I don't think I'd really go to bat for the game. I just didn't see anything really offensive about the game myself, so I'd be interested in knowing if the game did bother you, what those things were. Let me know. So write me down as mildly intrigued for an Avowed sequel if that ever comes out. Tell me if you liked Avowed, tell me if you hated it, like the video, or do none of those things if you don't feel like it. I don't judge. Thank you for being here, and thank you for listening.